This is New TV. Hello everyone, it's me, Vinmar Fernandez. I am one of the group members of Group 6. This time, we'll be discussing about typhoon. What is a typhoon? How it's formed? What are the consequences? What are the types of typhoon? What are the strongest typhoon landing in our country? And how we will prepare if there's an incoming typhoon. What is a typhoon? A typhoon is a mature tropical cyclone that develops between 180 degrees and 100 degrees east in the northern hemisphere. This region is referred to as the Northwestern Pacific Basin, and it is the most active tropical cyclone basin on Earth, accounting for almost one-third of the world's annual tropical cyclones. Okay, let's proceed to Erica, explaining what are the consequences of if there's an incoming typhoon.
Thanks for that, Vinmar. And now let's proceed on what is the consequences of typhoon. Typhoon brings strong winds and heavy rains, resulting in flooding, great damage to crops, houses and buildings, and death due to accidents. Climate change affects the increase in the intensity of typhoons. And thus the consequences of typhoon. Here's Dhan Urbano for us to know how typhoon is formed.
Erica for that. And now let's proceed to how typhoon is formed. How typhoon is formed. Typhoon forms when winds blow into areas of the ocean where the water is warm. These winds collect moisture and rise, while colder air moves in below. This creates pressure which causes the winds to move very quickly. The winds rotate or spin around a center called an eye, and that's how typhoon is formed.
Typhoons form when warm air rises and hits cold air. They merge into a cluster up to 300 miles wide. Convergent winds force moist warm air into the atmosphere, where it releases latent heat and moisture condenses into clouds and rain. The cluster forms a single center of low pressure and begins to rotate. Evaporation and condensation fuel the storm's intensity. When a storm cluster occurs in the Northwest Pacific Ocean west of the dateline, it is called a typhoon. The same kind of storm is called a hurricane in the North Atlantic Ocean or the Northeast Pacific Ocean on the eastern side of the dateline. In other parts of the world, it is called a cyclone.
And now let's proceed to Kimberly.
The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, also known as PAG-ASA, is an organization that notified us when a typhoon is approaching our Philippine area of responsibility, to enable us to prepare for it.
Classifications of typhoon. The first one is severe tropical storm, a tropical cyclone with maximum wind speed of 87 to 117 kilometers per hour, or 48 to 63 knots. The second one is typhoon. Excuse me po. A tropical cyclone with maximum wind speed of 118 to 184 kilometers per hour, or 64 to 99 knots. And the last one is super typhoon, a tropical cyclone with maximum wind speed of exceeding 185 kilometers per hour or more than 1,000 knots. In November 3, 2013, a typhoon Haiyan known in the Philippines as Super Typhoon Yolanda was one of the most powerful tropical cyclones ever recorded. On making landfall, Haiyan devastated portions of Southeast Asia, particularly in the Philippines, with a total fatalities of 6,352 and highest wind speed of 315 kilometers per hour. Typhoon Katsana, known in the Philippines as Tropical Storm Ondoy, is one of the most devastating tropical cyclone of the 2009 Pacific typhoon season. It has a wind speed of 165 kilometers per hour, causing $1.15 billion in the damage and 921 fatalities. Only buried Maragot earlier in the season, which cost 789.
So these are some examples of how to get ready for impending typhoon. Number 1, a supply of food and water for emergencies. Number 2, a supply of medicines for emergencies. Number 3, extra batteries for flashlights and other emergency power resources. Number 4, personal items and safety. And lastly, number 5, vital records such as wills, passports, and personal identification papers. And that's the some examples on how to get ready for an impending typhoon. Keep safe, everyone. Back to you, Vinmar.
Again, I'm Vinmar Fernandez, giving advice about how to start. Thank you for watching our personalized presentation. If you like it, subscribe, whether by